Okay, when you think about heart disease, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably stuff like diet, exercise, smoking, right? I mean, that's what we're all taught are the keys to a healthy heart. But what if that's only half the story? What if a huge chunk of your risk is already written into your code, your DNA, before you even take your first breath? So let's dive into this, and we'll start with what we think we know. There's that list of usual suspects when it comes to coronary artery disease, or CAD. These are the things doctors have been telling us about for, ever. And yep, here they are. Smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, a not-so-great diet, not getting enough exercise. These are what we call the classic modifiable risk factors. And that word modifiable is key. It means they're things we feel like we can actually do something about. And don't get me wrong, they are absolutely 100% important. But they just don't explain the whole picture. Which leads to this really big question, right? It's something doctors hear all the time. If these blockages are all about diabetes and cholesterol and lifestyle, then how can someone who seems totally healthy, someone who eats right, exercises, doesn't have those issues, still end up with serious heart disease? And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Well, it turns out there's this huge hidden factor in the mix. And it has nothing to do with what you had for dinner last night, or if you hit the gym this week. It's your genes. Yeah, the genetic blueprint you got from your parents. It plays a way bigger role than most of us ever thought. So, okay, how big a role are we actually talking about here? Well, get this. The science shows that the genetic heritability of coronary artery disease is somewhere between 40 and 60%. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. That means almost half of your risk could be baked right into your DNA from day one. But hold on, what does that word heritability even mean? It's super important to get this right. It does not mean you have a 40 to 60% chance of getting the disease. Nope. What it means is if you look at a whole population of people and ask, why do some people have a higher risk than others? Well, about half of that difference, that variation, comes down to their genes. A really good way to picture this is to think of it like a pie chart. Your total risk for heart disease, it's pretty much split right down the middle. On one side, you've got your genes. That's the hand of cards you were dealt. And on the other side, that's your lifestyle and your environment. That's all about how you decide to play those cards. So you might be wondering, how in the world did scientists figure this out? I mean, how do you separate what's in our DNA from, what we eat for lunch? Well, it all comes down to some really incredible science that's all about cracking our genetic code. The main tool they use is something called a genome-wide association study, or GWAS for short. And the easiest way to wrap your head around it is with an analogy. Imagine your DNA, your entire genome is a gigantic book. What scientists do is they take the books from thousands of people with heart disease and thousands of people without it. Then they run this massive, high-tech spell check to find the tiny, single-letter typos that just seem to pop up way more often in the group that has the disease. So here's how that hunt for clues really works, broken down. Step 1, they gather DNA. They get samples from 2 enormous groups of people, one group with CAD and one healthy group to compare against. Step 2, they scan for tiny differences. They use some seriously powerful tech to scan millions, literally millions of spots in everyone's genome. And finally, step 3, they connect the dots. They use heavy-duty statistics to see which of those little variations, those typos, are way more common in the people with heart disease. And boom, those are the genetic clues they're looking for. Okay, so this science is frankly amazing. But what does it actually mean for you, for me? If it turns out you have one of these genetic risk factors, does that mean you're doomed to have heart problems? This is a really, really important point, so let's get clear on it. All right, let's be crystal clear here. Having a genetic link for heart disease, what it is a predisposition. It's an increased risk. Think of it like a heads up from your body or an important piece of your personal health puzzle. Now, here's what it is not. It is not a certainty. It is not a life sentence. It is not the whole story, and it is absolutely not an excuse to say, oh well, and ignore your lifestyle choices. And that right there is why you'll hear doctors and scientists say over and over again that your family history is one of the single most important risk factors. Seriously. Knowing that your mom or your dad or a sibling had heart problems early on, that's a massive red flag. It's a huge signal that you need to be paying close attention because it points straight to this powerful genetic piece of the puzzle. Which brings us to, honestly, the most important part of all of this. It's about taking action. See, learning about your genetic blueprint isn't meant to scare you. not at all. It's about empowering you. It's about giving you the information you need to make smarter choices and really take control of your own health story. So, what can you actually do with this information? First things first, know your family's heart history. Ask the questions, talk to your relatives. Next, take that information and discuss it with your doctor. I'm telling you, it completely changes the conversation. Then you've got to focus on the lifestyle stuff you can control. If you have that genetic predisposition, your choices matter even more. Keep up with your regular checkups to watch your blood pressure and cholesterol. And this is a big one. Please never ignore potential symptoms like chest pain or shortness of breath, ever. Because in the end, it really all boils down to this. Your genes, they might set the stage, they might arrange the furniture and the props, but your choices, you're the one who gets to write the script. Your lifestyle, your awareness, how you work with your doctor, that's what determines how your story plays out.